So, the Honkai Star World Twitter did give us the official character preview for Black Swan. Of course, an Agility Win character. So we have her full details here officially posted. This will be what she's actually going to be doing in-game. No changes or anything. This is the final version of Black Swan here. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Character preview right here. And they are saying members is ever changing, of course. Black Swan, if you take a look here. Black Swan is a DPS character capable of inflicting the enemy with Arcana through various means. Arcana is a unique form of damage over time. Black Swan can trigger various additional effects based on the number of Arcana stacks on the enemy target. So we're able to see the number of Arcana stacks that are on the enemy target above their head, right? And those are basically like the cards that she's throwing right there, right? Design looks wonderful, by the way. So let's see what things are going here. So this is her traces. Okay, let's see what her trace is doing. After using the skill to hit an enemy that has wind shear, bleed, burn, or shock, so any DLT ability up right there. Each of these debuffs respectively has a chance of inflicting one additional stack of Arcana. So again, no matter what debuff the enemy does have for DLT, they can potentially inflict an extra stack of Arcana. That's of course with her skill. So it seems like this is going to be with her talent. With her talent, there is now a chance to inflict one stack of Arcana when a target enters battle. Okay. Every time an enemy target receives DLT during a single attack by an ally, yep, there is another chance for the target to be inflicted with one stack of Arcana. And then there's a limit to the number of Arcana stacks that could be inflicted on an enemy in a single attack. Okay, well, that's good to know. They don't say the limit, but you know, sure. The Counterform... I can't speak, I guess. The Candle Flames Portent increases damage up by this unit by an amount equal to certain percentage of effect hit rate up to a limit. So again, they're not really clarifying the exact number, but it seems like you do want some effect hit rate on this character because they'll get increased damage dealt. So that's going to be good to know, and that's with their talent as well. Okay, their trace materials here. So this is new. This is already in game. Make sure you do your weekly Echo Wars if you want to farm her up ahead of time. You want to get these. And then here's the ascension materials for her, right? So everything is just the normal, except for this new trace material, right? This is a new trace material that you want to have, right? You're only able to farm this up once the actual 2.0 version does begin. So this is her technique here. So at the beginning of the battle, there is a chance to inflict a stack of Arcana on each enemy. If Arcana is successfully inflicted on any enemy, this effect will be repeated on the affected enemies until it fails to inflict Arcana on any of them. Okay. The retrigger chance of inflicting Arcana will be lowered with each successful Arcana hit. So, I guess how it works is that there's going to be a fixed chance to inflict Arcana on each enemy. And then, if Arcana does hit one of the enemies, then the effect is going to be repeated with a lower chance until Arcana is not affected on any of them at all. Okay. So that makes sense. So again, an enemy could be affected with Arcana multiple times. And as long as it hits one of the enemies, then it re-rolls it again and it goes over and over until no enemies are actually hit with the Arcana, right? And again, this is how she's able to do her DOT. Her basic attack here deals wind damage to a single target enemy with a chance of inflicting one stack of Arcana. And if the hit target has wind shear, bleed, burn, or shock applied, each respectively has a chance of additionally inflicting one extra stack of Arcana onto the enemy. So this is just her basic attack right there, huh? And she's able to get up to 2 stacks of Arcana on the enemy. Seems like a pretty decent basic attack, actually, honestly. Because of the fact that she can do 2 stacks of Arcana if the enemy already has the DOT applied to them, which is good to know. This is her talent right here. Each enemy target has a certain chance at the start of turn to be afflicted by a stack of... Yeah, okay, so here it is right here. By Arcana for every instance of DOT sustained. When afflicted by Arcana, enemy targets will receive wind DOT at the start of each turn. So, yeah, so again, this, you're able to get Arcana by this. Just by literally her existing, she's able to get Arcana. By using her basic attack, she's able to apply 2 stacks of Arcana to the enemy. By using her technique, she's able to get Arcana multiple times on the enemies until none of them get hit with Arcana. So that's different ways you can get Arcana there. And then there's the stacks right here. Each stack of Arcana increases the damage multiplier, which is then reset to 1 stack. There is a limit for the Arcana stacks, which... Okay. At the beginning of an enemy's turn, when Arcana causes damage, Black Swan will trigger additional effects that can be stacked based on the number of Arcana stacks inflicted on the target. So with over 3 stacks, she inflicts 1 DOT to adjacent enemies and has a chance of inflicting 1 Arcana stack to adjacent targets. So that's like kind of an AoE kind of effect right there. So with 3 stacks of Arcana on an enemy, when she does cause damage to them, which I assume that's through Arcana specifically, she could do AoE when DOT, and then could also inflict Arcana on those specific enemies, so that are next to each other, which is nice. Over 7 stacks of Arcana, the DOT inflicted this time ignores a certain percentage of defense of both target and the adjacent targets. So she's also defense debuffing right there. Okay. So there's a lot of obviously multi-hit going on right there. Okay, I'm liking this design so far. She's obviously sounding very powerful, and I mean we kind of knew she was going to be a really strong character, so that's a good thing. Her skill here, what is her skill doing? So it deals wind damage. Also, if you can't tell, this is my real first time actually really looking deep in here. Okay, to a single target enemy and any adjacent targets. At the same time, there is a chance of inflicting 1 stack of Arcana on the target enemy and the adjacent targets. So again, she's able to hit multiple enemies, as we see right here. There's a chance of reducing the defense of the target enemy and adjacent targets lasting for a certain number of turns. So again, you use her skill, she could inflict a stack of Arcana on the enemy and the adjacent targets and reduce their defense. And then if you have 7 stacks as well, then she further reduces defense of them. And of course, with the 3 stacks, she's also again doing extra DOT damage whenever Arcana causes damage, right? At the beginning of each enemy turn. So yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. Let's take a look at her ultimate. So her ultimate implies Epiphany on all enemies for a certain number of turns. Enemies affected by Epiphany will take more damage in their turn, and their Arcana effect is regarded as Wind Shear, Bleed, Burn, and Shock effects. Okay. And in addition, when Arcana effect is triggered at the beginning of the next turn, the stacks are not reset. Okay. The stack non-reset effect can be triggered up to 1 time in Epiphany's duration, and its charges are replenished when Epiphany is applied again. Deals wind damage to all targets. Okay, let me read that. The stack non-reset effect can be triggered up to 1 time in the duration, and its charges are replenished. Okay, so how that works is that when you use the ultimate, you get an extra turn of the Arcana stacks, and they do not reset. So it seems like the Arcana effect does reset at the beginning of each turn, is what I'm assuming. The stacks, so when you stack up the Arcana, it's like every time the enemy is going to attack, they use up all the stacks of Arcanas that are there, right? So maybe it may be difficult at times to potentially even hit the 7 stacks. Just basically looking at the kit just in general. The talent could really help you get the 7 stacks right there, but this will not reset the stacks. And then I'm assuming what's going to happen is the next turn, when more stacks are inflicted, you're going to be able to get that 7 stacks of Arcana, which will get even more defense lowering. So this ultimate is going to be really, really good for her in terms of keeping up the Arcana stacks, which get more damage, defense lowering, obviously should deal more wind damage, right? Is what I'm presuming that's how it's gonna work. And obviously the ultimate also does do damage here as well. Okay, and that is Black Swan. So again, she's really all about Arcana right there and the damage. So this is good too as well. The fact that Epiphany makes just any DOT take more damage, and their Arcana effect is regarded as DOT as well. So that's good. I mean, it just says, in general, they take more damage. So I mean, it technically doesn't have to be technically DOT, but it will do more damage. So that's good to know. Okay, I like her. I like her quite a lot. She seems very, very powerful for a DOT character. Obviously, she's gonna work well with Kappa, Gunai Fen, etc., etc. I think she she looks good. I like the technique a lot too. This technique could be nasty if you get really good RNG right there. Imagine applying like 4 stacks of Arcana, just like all enemies just like starting off or something, and then you're just like basically potentially even getting 7 stacks instantly. That's like probably a very rare chance to happen, but you know, that could be really cool. Okay, and we'll see how things go from there for sure. The skill only applies 1 Arcana, but then the basic attack could apply multiple stacks of Arcana to the enemy. Okay, interesting. Okay, I don't know if they posted anything about her light cone. I'm assuming they might not have. It seems like they didn't, but if they do, then I'll probably make a video talking about like, oh, should you swim for the light cone? Is it worth it for Black Swan? We'll take a look at their options, but let me know what you guys are thinking about Black Swan. I said that really fast. Thanks for watching, y'all, and I'll catch you next time.